All right, we're going to get this all set up. Get everything turned on, and we'll be ready to go. Let's see. Trying to get everything set up here. And as usual, stuff doesn't want to work exactly as I want it to. All right, let's see. All right. First thing we're going to be pouring is going to be our Bo Peep jigs and our bass broom jigs. I've already got the hooks in the mold, and I've also got the hooks in the mold for the micro rounds as well. I'm just getting everything kind of set up. And then we'll get going. Lead's already good and melted. So we'll get this situated here. I'm just trying to get the live chat opened up. Okay, here we go. Hi, how's it going? All right. So first thing we'll do is we're going to pour these jigs in this mold here. As you can see, this is the lead pot here. That lead is good and melted. The only thing that I'm not pouring is the two biggest cavities in this mold, because we're not really selling very many of those right now. They're our two largest size jig heads. So I'm making the smaller stuff for the Bo Peep jigs, and then I'm making our bass broom jigs as well. I'll set that aside, and then I'll get our micro rounds set up. I tried to set this in a way that you guys can kind of see when I'm pouring this lead into the mold. And I am still using the pliers and this little spoon here instead of the ladle. I had planned on getting the full size ladle and everything, and I just kind of got used to using this setup, so I'm just kind of sticking with it. It never fails. I get everything working fine until I get out here and try to actually do something every single time. So 2 of these turned out okay. That's our smallest jig head there, and our biggest jig head turned out. The other 2 in the mold didn't work out. I guess while I was setting everything up, I allowed it to cool down too much. Trying to get the overhead TV on so I can see the chat a little bit easier. I do have the whiteboard set up in here now, so later on as I'm making these jigs and stuff, I can keep track of my numbers, but also we're going to take and put all the affiliate stickers up on there so we can kind of represent the affiliates while we're in here pouring our jigs and stuff, doing the live. So that's our sweeper style jigs, or what we call the Bo Peep and the Bass Broom jigs. And then these are our little micro rounds. You can see that there in the mold. Hi, Roxy, how's it going? And you can see there, that's the little 1/64 micro rounds. We're pouring jig heads. This is lead in a melting pot here, and we take and we pour it into our molds right there, and we come out with jig heads for fishing. That's the little 1/64 jig head right there. And we make those. Here, I'll get a little bit closer. For doing our little panfish kits. You take the small little tadpole body plastic, and you put that little 1/64 jig head on there, and you toss that, and it goes for catching panfish, crappie, any sort of small fish like that. And then our other jigs that we make are bass broom jigs. You take a soft plastic like a worm or something like that, and this is going to keep the hook up and the body of the soft bait up and the head down with the weight. And then on our bigger jig heads, these, we use these primarily for sheephead and also for flounder, because again, it keeps the weight down, the hook up, keeps your bait up off the bottom. So you never go fishing. Well, you should try it. It's definitely a lot of fun. And again, that's your little tiny 1/64 jig heads that we put in our little panfish kits. And then our bass broom jigs for actually throwing soft baits, bass fishing, anything like that. You can use them saltwater, freshwater, anything. I just, because they're called, or because the style that they are is like a sweeper style jig, I gave them silly little names to kind of be eye catching or whatever. So I'm going to heat this mold up just a little bit. I'm going to bring the temperature up inside the lead as well. So the next time I pour, you'll see all 4 of the cavities that will pour will turn out a whole lot better. Once I actually get the temperature up in the mold itself. Did you ever catch a monster? I don't know. I think that comes down to everybody's. Did you ever catch a monster? Oh, easy. Everybody's own definition of that, we went out yesterday and I was just tossing her line around a little bit with my wife and my daughter, and she caught a pretty good size little slider turtle on a light action rod. I'm pretty sure for a couple of minutes that felt like a monster while she was fighting that little thing. But we've went out and we've done fly fishing for bonita and stuff like that. So caught shark, caught all kinds of things. So like I said, just you say you ever caught a monster, I think that really just comes down to everybody's own determination on what they think a monster is. One thing that I want to show, and I put it in the title, one of the things we're going to be looking at next week is Monsterbass sent out, and I got all 6 colors of their Incision lipless crankbaits. So I'll be making a video on that later on in the week, and I'll definitely be putting that out. We'll take it and we'll toss these around a little bit, and we'll go through and look at all the different colors that Monsterbass offers for these Incision lipless crankbaits. So be looking for that video. We'll, like I said, we'll go through. I'll pull them all out of the package. We'll talk about all the different reasons why this little lipless crankbait is so neat, and we'll definitely, I'll take it out to the lake out there and we'll toss it around a little bit. But I got all 6 of those in the mail. Just waiting to do the video on that. I also have been running my little camera here and the multi-cam. You can see it's on right now, and if you notice whenever I open that up, it's got a full battery still, and those are off of these rechargeables that I was sent in, the X-Star rechargeables. So I'll be doing kind of a review video on those as well later on in the week. So that's another thing you could be looking towards, seeing how those have lasted. It's taken quite a few months to put out this video on these batteries because I really didn't know how to go about doing a review on them other than just use them in stuff and really get a feel for whether they hold up or not. And we'll go through all that whenever I get the video out later on this week, and I'll show you all the little different things that come with those batteries and all that good stuff. But for now, let's pour some more of these jig heads. And again, I mentioned I'm not doing the 2 biggest cavities on these because they're not really so much in demand right now. So no point in wasting lead and hooks on pouring those. They're more of a real deep water situation, or even if you're going to be in like a body of water that's moving like a river or something like that, and you really want to get your bait to sit still, But for now, we're doing the first two cavities in this is our bass broom, and the second two cavities is our Bo Peep jigs. And then right here is what we call our STC micro rounds that I'm pouring in this mold. And something else that I want to kind of show everybody is these chatterbaits here. We're going to be doing here soon, we're going to be making our own chatterbaits as well. And so that's another thing that will be coming to the channel soon. I'll be making the jig heads with a mold just like this situation, and then I'll also be showing the process of putting the skirts on, and whether we're doing the chatterbaits or we're doing the bladed jigs, I'll go through the process of how we put those together on both of those. And as you can see there, all four of the jigs turned out good that time with preheating the mold a little bit. That's a step you definitely don't want to miss. But once you bring that mold up to temperature and pour one or two rounds in it, if you're not waiting a real long time in between pours, you don't have to continue to set it up there and let it come up to temperature. And I mentioned this before, when I'm doing these, the clamp is maybe not 100% necessary. It's just something that I like to do. And that's our little micro rounds out of the mold there. You can see those little bitty, the little micro rounds. I'll be powder coating some stuff later on, probably maybe Friday towards the end of the week or something. And then that's our Bo Peep jig. And our little bass broom jigs. And also, this little popper that I did. I went and I put some hooks on it, and we tossed this thing around a little bit at the tournament. It worked. It worked really well. We didn't toss it around a whole lot. I was busy kind of taking care of stuff at the tournament, so I didn't get a whole lot of time to fish, but we did toss that around a little bit and had a good time with it. I'll definitely be doing more of those. And that looks like that is the end of my mustad hooks for doing the micro round. So I've got to wait for my order to come in before I do any more of those. I show the mustad hooks to you because they are also a channel affiliate. So we only use their mustad branded hooks on our stuff. I'm kind of excited to get the molds in to do the chatterbaits and stuff, to start putting these skirted jigs together. The only thing I haven't, I've got some molds to do some plastics, and I don't really have the urge to get into pouring plastics right now. That might change later on down the road. We might end up be doing videos pouring plastics and making jig heads before it's all over with. Who knows? That is not lead. These have cooled down now. We can pull them out. I'll get another round of hooks going in these. And then we'll pull these little micro rounds and take a look at those as well. and you can see those right there in the mold. Put this mold away. That was our last 3 hooks for now. I'm waiting on our order to come in. Yeah, hard to see, but that's the little micro round. All that just goes back in there to be melted and used again. Same with all the scrap from the little bass broom jigs and the Bo Peep jigs. It all goes, all that leftover goes in there, and we just melt it and pour it again. All right. Then, like I say, sometime I've got to get some more acetone so I can clean the airbrush guns up good, so I can do more of these hoppers and stuff. I'm wanting to get a whole new airbrush system ordered up instead of this little cheap system right there that does work. I didn't do my part and take the time to really clean it up properly, especially getting ready for the tournament and all that. I let it get dirty, didn't clean it up right, and now they just don't spray quite right. So can't really say that's the company's fault on that. And all I do is just, especially when all I'm making is the one set of jigs, I'll take and I'll get my hooks ready. I'll put my clamp on, let it sit there, and then I'll take and I'll cut my other stuff apart, put all that back in the pot to melt. And that's our jig heads that we do in this mold right here. What do y'all think about this color combo too, with that kind of burnt orange with the white? And then this mostly white body with that little bit of black in there. I don't know exactly what color skirts I have coming in right now. I did make an order on a pack of skirts already coming in to be able to start making those. So I'm going to have to see exactly what color skirts we have that come in, and that'll kind of dictate a little bit on what color my jig heads are going to be on the first round. And I'm going to do the first round of these kind of like I did with the micro rounds and on the little bass broom jigs and everything else. My first round or two are going to be specifically for me, just to get some practice. So I'm not too concerned about the color combo or anything in the beginning. I'm just going to be putting stuff together to get used to putting the skirts on and making this new style, this other type of jig. But that's really all there is. Like I said, we'll be testing out the batteries and these things throughout the week. I'm making the video on that, and then we're definitely going to be making the video on those lipless crankbaits from Monsterbass. And then depending on when the stuff comes in from Flogrown and 𝐾𝐿, that'll probably be the following week, possibly even further away. I've got stuff coming from them that I'm going to be doing some review videos on as well. I'm going to show these. I see there's a few new people on here. These are the Monsterbass Incision lipless crankbaits. Like I said, we're going to be doing some videos on those. Definitely, that'll be one of the review videos during the week this week. And it's hard to see, but I had one of my hooks that wasn't quite sitting in the mold the way it was supposed to. And you can tell that whenever you go to clamp it down, if it's not sitting quite right, the mold won't close all the way. And that's a dead giveaway that you've got something not quite centered in there correctly. And I'll show you just how fast. That's all the stuff that is sitting on top of the mold that doesn't go into actually making the jig head. So if you watch this thing, that's how fast that lead just melts back away. That's roughly, probably right now, about 8 pounds worth of lead in that thing. It holds a total of 10. All right, and right here is what I was talking about. I still didn't quite get whatever hook it was, for whatever reason, wasn't sitting in there properly. I'll get up and put this right up on the camera. You can see those little edges, and that's because the mold didn't close all the way. So I've got to take and clean all that up. Which isn't difficult, but that's time spent that I didn't have to. If I would have just made sure that mold was closed properly, the hooks were in there right, that wouldn't have been an issue, and I wouldn't have had to take the time to do that. I'm pretty sure looking at it, if you see that lead that's actually on the hook itself, that was probably the one that gave me the issues. But it's easy enough. Just, dip it in the pot, let that excess lead that's on the hook melt away, and you're good to go. And it could be something as simple as maybe the hook wasn't quite as flat as it needed to be. I don't really know, because I checked it multiple times and it didn't seem like that was really an issue. And then see that time, you could see the center of the mold, that one lined up properly and everything closed right. And that's going to be the last one that I pour today, because I only have a few of these hooks left while I wait on my next order to come in. But definitely be looking out towards the end of the week for the Monsterbass review video and the review on the rechargeable batteries that we have in these devices here. And we've got plenty of other stuff coming along the way too. Just a little bit at a time. Like I said, I'm very excited about doing the spinner baits and chatter baits and stuff like that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I get a kick out of how fast this stuff melts away. That's going to be all I'm going to do today. Go in and get ready for work tomorrow. But like I said, I'll mention it. These lives I do for making all of our baits and stuff. But for the affiliate stuff, I always do review videos to put out on the channel. So when I get those recorded and edited together, I'll post those up on there. So be looking for those, and I'll get out here later on in the week and we'll start powder coating up some of these jig heads that we're doing. So until then, y'all enjoy what y'all have left of the weekend, and we'll see y'all next time.